You ready? Okay. All right. I am calling the July 13th, 2021 regular West Hartford Town Council meeting to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call, Ms. LeBreau?
Ms. Blanks.
Here.
Ms. Cantor.
Here.
Mr. Davidoff.
Here.
Ms. Fay.
Here.
Mr. Gold.
Here.
Ms. Kerrigan is absent. Mr. Sweeney.
Here.
Mr. Winograd. Here. And Mr. Williams.
Here.
Thank you, Ms. LeBreau. We are going to start with a proclamation. I don't think we have to suspend the rules for this proclamation, correct, Mr. Dodge? Right. And I would like to call Gina Marino up to the little podium here.
I know, don't make me cry.
Crying. Gina. The proclamation is going to say a lot. And it says a lot and it doesn't say enough, right? And Helen was instrumental in helping pull the proclamation together. But Gina is just the perfect example and the perfect, I think, model of a public employee that cares and changes lives in such a way that it's so profound and so meaningful. She has touched so many seniors. Not only the seniors, but their families are so grateful for the care, the empathy, the work, the commitment, the enthusiasm, the joy that she has shown day after day after day, year after year after year. And I'm just so grateful. I personally have witnessed it after my dad passed and my mom didn't know, was kind of a little lost. And Gina was that hand to pull her up and pull her in and give her that support. And I've seen it so many times. And we're going to go play one more time at the senior center before she leaves. But she's amazing and irreplaceable, and she will be really profoundly missed. So with that, the formal proclamation, and I have a little something for you myself on Thursday, but formal proclamation. Whereas Gina Marino, the director of the West Hartford Senior Centers, officially retires on July 30th, 2021 after completing 33 years of exemplary service to the town of West Hartford. And whereas Gina Marino began her tenure in 1988 as the Elmwood Senior Center Program Supervisor and went on to hold the positions of Facility Supervisor of the West Hartford Senior Center 2012 and ultimately Supervisor of both branches of the West Hartford Senior Centers at Elmwood Senior Center and Bishops Corner 2020. Nice year to do that. Whereas Gina Marino touched the lives of countless senior center members and leaves a legacy of outstanding service to our community with her passion for improving and enriching the lives of older adults through the implementation of high-quality, imaginative programs and services in warm and welcoming facilities. And whereas Gina Marino earned prestigious awards from the Connecticut Association of Senior Center Personnel, the Connecticut Recreation and Parks Association, and the National Recreation and Parks Association, including the Young Professional Award from CRPA in 1996, the Programmers Award for Program Excellence from NRPA in 1997, and most recently, the CRPA 2020 Outstanding Professional Award as a testament to her hard work and dedication within the field of parks and recreation. And whereas Gina Marino has capably led the senior center branches with warmth, enthusiasm, and an exceptional work ethic, garnering the respect and admiration of the town council, town administration, and all of those who have had the pleasure of working with her for any portion of her 3 decades of service, especially leisure services management and staff, and members of all town departments. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that on behalf of the Town Council of West Hartford, Town Hall staff, and the residents of West Hartford, I, Mayor Sherry G. Cantor, do hereby extend our congratulations and best wishes to Gina Marino for her outstanding service and dedication to the town of West Hartford. And this is so not enough, even.
Thank you. Thank you
And I know. Oh, okay. I know Gina is so humble and modest, and she didn't really want to send off. We're going to all figure out our own way to thank her so much for all of her work. So thanks. Wait, take this nice little proclamation. I have my giant letter cheat sheet too. So.
That's good. You didn't even have to read off of it.
I know. I had my glasses cleaned. Anyway, do you want to say a few words, or do you want to say a few words? No. Okay.
I just,
I don't know where to look.
I just wanted to thank the administration, the people of West Hartford. I made the best decision of my life to come work for the town of West Hartford. I never regretted it. Every day I woke up, jumped out of bed, and was happy to go to work. And not too many people can say that. I was very fortunate. I had some wonderful supervisors, Jim Capides, Helen Rubino Turco, that supported me in all my crazy ideas and programs that I wanted to create. And I've always felt supported by the town, and I appreciate that. Our seniors are some of the best in the state, smart, articulate, bright, inquisitive. They've opened their eyes and hearts to so many different programs that I was able to put together, and that really makes it. That's what it's all about. So I've been blessed to come to work every day in West Hartford, and I will truly, truly miss West Hartford and her people. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you. One more hug.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll see you first.
Okay.
Let's give a round of applause. Really amazing. Have a good night, Gina. All right. Now we go to number 3, Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Without objection, I move approval of the minutes from the Town Council meeting on June 22nd, 2021.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any objections? There being no objections, the motion is adopted. Number 4, number 4 is me. Any resident or taxpayer of the town may address the council for not more than 3 minutes regarding any item on the agenda that is not otherwise subject to a public hearing. We will first call anyone who signed up on the sign-up sheet. Thank you. We have Jill Spear signed up, and after this sign up, and if anybody's present that would like to speak, we will, I guess that's it, and then we'll have any written commentary after that. So we'll start with Jill. Thank you. State your name and address for the record. It's an automatically, it just will work automatically.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Jill Spear. I reside at 30 Wardwell Road in West Hartford. I'm chair of the West Hartford Library Board, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the Library Board about the proposed new Faxon Library branch library facility. Why now? The Faxon Branch Library is a vibrant and welcoming environment highly utilized by the Elmwood community, its neighbors, and many patrons from across West Hartford. One challenge that the Faxon branch has faced for many years, however, is the condition of the facility. The building has had a number of issues which have been repeatedly remediated to maintain operations. These initiatives have been constrained by the physical limitations of the building and the site, and proposals for long-term solutions never seem to have gained traction. And this has been the state for over 25 years, or at least as long as I have actually been volunteering with the library. The West Hartford Library Board is therefore extremely excited by the prospect of finding a location and creating a facility to meet the needs of both the Elmwood and wider West Hartford communities. A new facility could not only provide the core library services the community enjoys today, but enable the infrastructure to see us far into the future. And if the pandemic has taught us anything, it's the need for facilities that ensure the continuity and flexibility of our public service operations under a myriad of circumstances. Blue Moon. The prospect of a new building alone is certainly enticing, and we will no doubt draw more people to both the community center and the library branch. We do not, however, we're not just, however, looking for a shiny new thing. The library board is looking for something more. Having the opportunity to create an entirely new library facility is extremely rare in towns today. The library board is profoundly committed to making the most of this opportunity for the community. We appreciate the opportunity to partner with other departments at this early stage and throughout the prospect, with the hope that together we can create forward-looking library facility to serve us well for years to come. In addition to providing state-of-the-art facilities for the core services that the community and library already provide, it's important that we keep our eye on means to advance our core values such as accessibility, inclusion, and sustainability, among others. For example, the site location is important. Beyond the obvious environmental and safety requirements, accessibility is crucial, and transportation methods should be considered to eliminate or mitigate barriers. Additionally, the building itself should have the physical and technical infrastructure to enable inclusion. Town Manager Matt Hart has spoken with the library board and has indicated that the town shares this vision and will be engaging various professionals from the town and state, as well as library facility planning and architecture specialists to address the project from all angles. Stakeholder engagement. We encourage the town to, we are encouraged that the town is progressively considering how the needs of the community can be met. While it's early in the process, it will be important to actively engage the community to understand the range of needs and concerns of stakeholders, including patrons, neighbors, librarians, town service providers, the community organizations, and businesses in this town. We want to hear the wide and diverse voices of the community. Be bold. Finally, council members, we urge the town to be bold and create a 2050 facility, not the 2025 facility. Don't just move the Faxon Library and the Elmwood Community Center down the street. Create facilities that sustain and nurture a resilient community and shine as leading civic capabilities. Take this rare opportunity to create the jewel in the crown. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jill, and for your work on the library board. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak? All right, seeing none, we will now go to Madam Clerk. Have you received any written comments on any item on the agenda? Not
Yes.
subject to a public hearing?
There were 3 written communications sent in, and they were all on item number 6, the resolution authorizing the purchase of the former St. Brigid campus. And the first one is from Aldo Carducci, who is the president of Elmwood Business Association, and he wrote in favor on July 9th. We heard from State Representative Kate Farrar on July 12th. She also wrote in favor of the resolution. And Mark Merritt wrote in on July 13th, also in favor of the resolution.
Thank you, Ms. LeBrow. Appreciate that. Okay, number 5, Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that we place items 11A and 14A on the consent calendar.
Motion's been made and seconded. We will go by voice vote, and all those in favor say yay. Yay.
Yay.
And anyone nay? Any nay or abstention? Okay. The motion passes unanimously. We will go to 6, Mr. Davidoff.
Number 6 is a resolution authorizing the purchase of the former St. Bridget campus located at 100 Mayflower Street. Madam Mayor, without objection, I move that we enter executive session pursuant to Section 1-200, parentheses 6, parentheses D of the general statutes to discuss the purchase of real estate.
Is there any objection? There being no objection, we will enter into executive session and come back after we are done. I would like to invite the town manager, the director of facilities. Thank you very much, Bob, for coming back from vacation to be here with us. Appreciate that. And the corporation counsel and deputy corporation counsel to join us, and we will come back as soon as we're done.
Waiting for Liam. Where'd he go?
Water. Okay. We are back from executive session. Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move adoption of the resolution authorizing the purchase of the former St. Bridget campus located at 100 Mayflower Street.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Hart, would you like to explain this resolution?
I would be happy to do that, Mayor, and I will need a few minutes because I want to provide some extensive comments for the record. So as council will recall, back on March 23rd, you authorized me to execute a real estate contract with St. Gianna Beretta Mola, I may have mispronounced that, my apologies if so, Parish Corporation for the purchase of 100 Mayflower Street. And you appropriated funds at that point in time to conduct our due diligence and to fund any necessary closing costs. So since that point in time, we have completed our due diligence activities, and those activities included an evaluation of the mechanical, the electrical, and the plumbing systems, as well as the structural integrity of the building. We also conducted a hazardous building materials investigation, a Phase 1 environmental site assessment, as well as a title and survey review. So the results of the building and the site assessment evaluations are favorable, with no major structural repairs or environmental remediation or abatement required at this point in time to use the building in its current condition. The transaction was also referred to the Town Plan and Zoning Commission, the TPZ, as is required under our charter, and the TPZ has provided the council with a favorable recommendation by a unanimous vote. The purchase price is $3 million, which is supported by the appraisal commissioned by the town. We did pay a deposit of $50,000, which was included in the initial appropriation and has already been paid to the seller. The balance of the purchase price is included in the approved and adopted capital improvement program. So if the council were to approve the transaction, the closing would occur sometime early next month. In accordance with the contract that we executed, the property would be transferred to the town subject to a restriction that it can only be used for municipal purposes for a period of 5 years. And we would further be prohibited from using the name St. Brigid or St. Gianna in connection with any of our operations or activities on the property. So if the council were to approve this, and after the transaction is completed, we would recommend to the council that we would engage a consultant and work with the key stakeholders in the community, work with our partners and residents to design a program of activities for the use of the site, subject to the review and approval of the council. And once we have developed a program, which could take 6 to 12 months, we would then proceed to the design phase, which I anticipate would probably take about another 12 months or so. In terms of the operational impact for the near term, how might we use the building near term as we work on our larger project? We have two primary options with respect to carrying costs. Number one would be to acquire it and utilize it for a limited set of purposes. So those could include some limited leisure services activities, maybe public safety training, social services activities. So the estimated annual cost for that would be $150,000. The second option that we could consider near term would be to acquire the property and mothball it. And our estimate is that would be a one-time cost of $25,000 and an annual cost of roughly $16,000 to heat, plow, and otherwise maintain the site. In terms of the financial impact, again, we have budgeted the funds. The purchase funds in the capital budget. We also, in the second year of the CIP, we budgeted another $3 million, which we can use for costs related to the project. In terms of the recommendation, I am recommending to the council that you approve the resolution. I'm very excited about this opportunity. As you know, I think it provides us with a generational opportunity, a once-in-a-generation opportunity. I don't want to overuse that phrase, but tonight I will. So I think this is all about opportunity here. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to accomplish several key things. Number one, it would give us the opportunity to relocate our existing Elmwood uses to a site that's adjacent to Beachland Park, one of our premier parks, and enable us to construct a more energy efficient and sustainable facility that can better meet both our current needs as well as our future program needs. Secondly, the acquisition would provide us with the opportunities to significantly enhance key programs and things we're doing now and things we want to do in the future, such as senior center, library branch, teen center. Those are all things we have now that we could greatly improve upon in a new facility. And we would have the opportunity to add some exciting new uses, such as a cultural center that we do not have at present. And then lastly, the acquisition would provide the town with the opportunity to consolidate some of our existing buildings. We know that that's an important policy goal for the council. We could consolidate and repurpose some of our existing facilities to enable us to lower our future operating costs and to achieve grand list growth. Lastly, Mayor, I want to thank the parish for entertaining this. You know, we were in discussions with them for several months, and they did give us the time to do that. And I want to thank and commend our staff team, Helen Rubino-Turco, Carol Waxman, Gina Verano, and Bob Palmer for their assistance to date, as well as the stakeholder groups that we have met with, such as the Elmwood Business Association, the Library Board, the Senior Center Advisory Committee, and others. So that completes my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hart. That was very thorough, and I think we encapsulated our decision very, very well. Are there questions for Mr. Hart? Okay, I see no questions. We are going to be doing a roll call vote. Are there any comments about this? I think Matt did a great job summarizing, but Ms. Fay.
Thank you, Mayor Cantor. It's exciting, and I think we can all see the possibilities, but my concerns, surprise, surprise, are always around the numbers and the cost. I'd like a bright, new, shiny, multi-million-dollar home overlooking Central Park or perhaps a condo in Paris, but I can't afford it, so I don't have those. And I think when we can take into effect what we did with the budget, and we did raise people's taxes again, this is not just the $3 million purchase price. We're going to get into maintenance, and we're going to get into, possibly a demolition and a new build. I do think we need to really focus on needs versus wants. And we do address the needs very well, I believe, in West Hartford, and I'm proud of that. But I think this is more along a want, and I think we need to be prudent. So the numbers, just to put them in perspective for those of you watching or listening, in addition to the $3 million purchase price, which, by the way, is what the appraisal came in at, that's a whole other thing, but we just had the one appraisal to go on, and it does equal the purchase price. So you'd have to kick the tires on that a little bit, and these are all publicly available documents. But the remediation, and we've kind of gone down this path before with the Yukon property, it's always bigger than you think. And the range that we've got now, regardless of whether we demo the building or if we choose to rehab it and repurpose it, we still have to do remediation, and that's anywhere between 1.6 and 2.8 million. I think I got that right. And then if we were going to keep the building, we'd have to talk about renovating the systems, the MEP, I learned that acronym today, but basically the heating and electrical systems, and we'd have to make it handicap accessible. So you can just see the cash register ring, 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 ring. I'm very concerned about what this could turn into and the ongoing maintenance costs and things like that. It is desirable for us. I'm not so sure that property is desirable for a bunch of other people, considering the restrictions on the deeds as well as the restrictions on the property and plus some wetlands. So I think there's a lot of open questions. Yes, I'll go on the record. Would I love a teen center? Would I love a new recreational facility? Would I love a bigger expanded senior center? Would I love, I was on the library board. I value our library. I love it. It's tremendous. Frequent utilizer of the library and its services, and certainly for children, it's critically important. So those are, I can see why we would want those things, but I think what we're doing with the taxpayers and their tax burden, we have to consider that too. And I'm very concerned about cost creep. The other thing is that, we can't rely on the state as we did with Charter Oak School for funding. We all know that the state has its own financial concerns. So I don't think we can count on that. And I think the picture is still a little bit murky about exactly what we want on that site. I think there's a lot of great ideas, but there's no clear conclusion of what we want to do there. And I think without that, it's very hard. There's a lot of unknowns, and it's very hard to shoot at this. So I will not support this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fay. Mr. Sweeney?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So today, I think that we have before us something that all of my colleagues know that I have been talking about for some time, and that is the opportunity to, I think actually someone here earlier today spoke about it, have a vision for 2050 or beyond. One of the most alarming things that I noticed when I first joined the council was a complete lack of facilities to help and sustain the growth of our kids over a long period of time. One of the first things I went and visited when I was a counselor was the teen center in West Hartford, and it was basically in the janitor's closet at Elmwood Community Center. I once went to Elmwood Community Center in the preschool. My kids are now attending Busy Bees. Thank you, Helen. And the facility is inaccurate. It is falling, not falling apart. It is busting at the seams. I would say that it does not have anything that would allow us to have a competitive edge over other communities in regards to a centralized community center. And it was built in 1920, so it is going to age out at some point. It is just a matter of time and when. I don't think, and when we first started talking about this conversation about a community center in town, we never knew that something would pop up. I think we looked at various pieces of land. Where could it be? Where could we put this? And then all of a sudden, we have this opportunity. And I think that the number that we saw today is a fair value for that. But this property, I think, has been provided to us, has so many different things to it. One, it has the ability, because no matter what we're talking about here in regards to facilities, the Elmwood Community Center is going to need some sort of expansion or development on it. And what we heard today is that the site that we're looking at with St. Bridget is a much more sustainable place for that kind of expansion and growth. That's what we were told today by staff. Secondly, I think what we just heard was wants and needs. This is a need. We have kids. We have growing needs for kids in this town, and growing needs for our seniors, and we have growing needs at our libraries. We have facilities that are outdated that are going to need to be updated. Again, it's a matter of time, not when. It's going to have to happen. And I think that what we're looking at is an opportunity here to address those things before we have any problems. As we've seen across the country, there are issues with infrastructure all over the place. I think we would be getting ahead of that here. We've seen it here in town. And I think us being proactive is why this town has done so well. I think we've seen immediate reaction from our community of why we have done so well during this pandemic is because this governing body has been proactive in looking for ways to make us continue to be ahead of the curve. And I think, as again, as I've said multiple times, we need to continue to invest in our kids, and that's what this town does so well. That's why we are a top-rated community. That's why we are a AAA bonded community, because we make smart decisions at the right time. And this is a generational changing acquisition before us, where we can put together a community center, a cultural center, if that's what we may be, and centralize some of our facilities that we clearly need to do. I mean, we are looking at multiple different facilities throughout the town that are built in the 1920s and 30s. I mean, my neighborhood that I live in was built entirely in the 1920s and 30s, and it was built around Morley School. And it's at the same time that Elmwood Community Center was built. I think we just saw Elmwood have its 100th year. That's a good lifetime. It's time to move on, and I think this is a great opportunity for us to do that and address the issues, not the issues, but the needs that our kids in this community has. So, and then lastly, one of the most important things that we have talked about here is addressing the needs of the community of Elmwood, the other side of town, that people continue to tell us that we do not properly address on this council. I think that what we are looking at here today is a way to do all of these things in one foul swoop. Obviously, there's a long way to go, and there's so many great things about this property, but I enthusiastically will be supporting this today. And I don't usually say that about a vote, because you can only vote yay or nay, but I'm so excited about this opportunity here. I'm so excited about the vision that the town manager, the staff, I know that there are a lot of people looking for this. Thank you, Helen, for having your eye on this. But this is so important and can be so monumental in this town that I don't think that we can really quarrel over pennies here, because I don't think that's the issue. I think that the town is well financed. We are in a really good spot, and I think we can make this purchase and know that we're doing the right thing. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Mr. Gold, do you want to?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I, too, think that the purchase of St. Bridget's School, and Mr. Sweeney, thank you, I think it's an amazing opportunity for the town. We talk about forward thinking, we talk about progress, we talk about wants and needs, as Mr. Sweeney had pointed out, and this truly is a need. Mr. Hart had pointed out very clearly, as we're continuing policy development in town in dealing with strategic consolidation, this certainly will help in that business development. We talked, and I heard, and I had notes to talk about in terms of bridging our town from one side to the next. This is a very strategic place, building, and opportunity for our entire community to make one West Hartford, and that's very important. I'm very happy to hear that actually the state delegation is looking to offer to apply for state bonding, and I think that's an important concept here that will certainly help, knowing that there's a commitment by our local and state officials to help us build a bright, bigger West Hartford, something that is a 2050 project, a generational type of scenario, something that our town and us as a governing body should not miss out as an opportunity. This is something that we should embrace, we should move forward on in a positive, productive way so that we can help all aspects of the town, from the children, as Mr. Sweeney is talking about, to seniors, to anybody who needs a community center, which we don't have, an opportunity for all of us to be together, share ideas, be collaborative together. And I think that this type of project will span generations, and we are well positioned to be able to embrace this project and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gold. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Appreciate it. So even though on May 23rd, 2021, I voted no to even begin negotiations with the diocese, excuse me, this vote is difficult for me. So I'd like to, just off the top, just commend the town staff for looking into it and researching the issue and really coming up with options, because I think the concept is a good one. The idea that we should consolidate public buildings, build new ones. In the long term, it would be economically beneficial to the town and its residents, plus enhanced services, is a very good concept. And so I think it's worthy of exploration and discussion. But there's no doubt that UConn and the experience with that property informs how I feel about this. I mean, Ben, when you and I, it's amazing to me. When we started, one of the first things we started discussing was UConn property, and it's still sort of out there as an issue for us. And many of the things we're discussing tonight, although different in specifics, were similar in the general when we were discussing the future of that property at different points in time. And it's amazing to me that as I'm on my way out, we're talking about a new potential investment in town. It's just amazing how life works in that fashion. But we have a very large inventory of properties in town. And as you point out, Mr. Sweeney, many are aging and probably past their useful life. And that's been an issue that the town council has been talking about for a lot of years. And I know even that there was discussions about sort of a town hall south in the 90s with the town council. I was talking to Al Turco the other day, and apparently that was a point of discussion. That's kind of what this concept could be. The problem I have is that fundamentally what we would be doing by purchasing this property is we'd be investing money in the purchase, money in the subsequent renovation or demolition, whatever it would be, and then money into the development of it. All the while, we would still have these properties out there, and it's good to have the concept that we're going to close them, and it's good to have that as a goal. It's another thing to do that. And so for me, ultimately, I have concerns about the viability of developing the property for the cost projections, not because we haven't done due diligence, but basically because of the experience with UConn and the way that unraveled in a way that many of us, the cost issues there were not consistent with what we initially understood. So I have difficulty supporting this. I think it's a good concept in the general, but I can't vote for it. So those are my thoughts I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Ms. Blanks?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I guess I could say, I have a little history with St. Bridget because about 29 years ago, my older daughter attended the school, so I'm very familiar with the building. And I'm actually excited that this is an opportunity for the town to actually purchase, and also excited that the parish thought enough of the town to approach the town for this particular opportunity. And since I live in the area, I welcome it because this is such an opportunity for enhancement for the Elmwood community. And I know when St. Bridget was active, they were a draw for the people in that community, whether it was various activities, basketball games, fundraisers, or what have you. That school was just such a vibrant part of that community. And what I envision is what we do with the parcel now is also going to restore that. And to think about where we go from 2021 and beyond, we can only go up, and the possibilities are endless. And I know that I talked about this before, and when we talk about location in terms of seasonal events that can happen inside the building and outside the building, and the opportunity that we have to purchase this property for the amount that we're purchasing. And again, I want to thank Mr. Palmer and your team, Attorney Verano, Attorney Dodge, and all the work, and of course you, Mr. Hart, that you put into this, because a lot of times we'll toss around things and say, wow, we missed the ball on that one. We should have jumped on it. And right now, this is facing us, and we have the opportunity to purchase it, not only for youth, not only for middle age, but there's many of us that are aging and many of us who are still active. And so I see a lot of things that this building can do for us. I know that Mr. Sweeney here is a basketball geek, and I just think about many tournaments that can be played in that facility and the draw that it would bring in from our neighboring towns. We also discussed that we don't have a facility in town right now for our youths, and many of our neighboring towns do. And they're the draw for a lot of different activities. And West Hartford is a leader. And so I think this is one of the things that we're lacking. And it's in front of us. It's here for us to grab on and build on. And I really think it's a shame if we allow this opportunity to pass us. So I am going to be supporting this, and I think it's going to be a home run. And I will say this. I know when Blueback Square was being built, there was a lot of signs that said, no Blueback. And right now, I'm just proud to be a resident and a member of this council because our town is a draw for so many different people coming from all over. So that's my 2 cents, but I definitely will be supporting this.
Thank you, Ms. Blanks. Mr. Winograd?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you for that reminder about Blueback, because it does sort of segue in with the fear of changing, of doing anything new. Think about the idea that, someone has said that if we never had public libraries and somebody came up with the idea now, people would call it socialism. People would say, how dare you? Why would we need that? We have bookstores, we have Amazon, we have whatever else. It would be a foreign concept and would be considered wasteful. And certainly now we consider that an essential function of our town and of every town. And so I don't think it's, we look at what is, so the idea of need versus want. We're talking about core functions of our town. We're talking about youth center, we're talking about recreation, we're talking about our seniors, we're talking about our libraries. None of these are luxuries. And I really I'm bothered a bit by the comparison of a luxury house. Right? I mean, the house in Paris, I'd like one too. And I understand, that sure, there are things we can't afford. But, we're a leading town with a mission to serve our residents. And I don't see this as wasteful in any sense of the word. And again, because we have real ideas about what to do with it. And I don't think we have consensus that these are really valuable things for our residents. You take a look at, again, we believe that there should be a youth center. I think we have one now. It's a closet, as Mr. Sweeney has been reminding us for years about how inadequate that is. And so the question then becomes, okay, we have this need. We can either keep people in a closet in an old building, or we can decide to do something else. So is this what we're doing appropriate? And sure, if we were paying too much for it, okay, that it'd be a legitimate thing to question. But again, we've got a location that's perfect in terms of its relationship to other property we have in town. We have a price that certainly by our experts and by our town staff is appropriate. We have environmental costs that exist, but are in no way comparable to what we faced at UConn. And I think we certainly, again, the UConn example is one where, we could use that as an example for the next 50 years as to never to do anything. But in fact, what we did at UConn, we studied it for a long time. As facts changed, we adapted to that and eventually decided to not buy it because, in fact, the costs were, becoming out of control. But recall that they were, we were going to buy it for a lot, even less than this property because we knew there were environmental damages built in at that point. And, we've had, some amount of due diligence here, and there is not any reasonable expectation that it's going to be anywhere near that level. And the other piece of this that I just think is relevant, and it goes towards the idea of fiscal responsibility. Part of the idea here isn't just to add new, it's to give us the opportunity to redevelop the current site of the Elmwood Community Center. I think most people looking at that realize that that is a site better suited for private commercial use rather than what we're using it for now, where it sits, where it fits. And so if, again, as part of this whole deal, is we have a new property on Mayflower, and we're not supposed to call it St. Bridget anymore. I think tonight's the last night we're allowed to call it that, a Mayflower property, and are able to develop and sell the Elmwood Community Center, that will, again, I think that's the more fiscally responsible choice because it will help pay for the new facility. Whereas the alternative is stagnation. The alternative is keeping the existing site, keeping the existing library, keeping the existing community center, and continuously just fixing them up and trying to make do and doing, yearly repairs to keep it safe and then face at some point a big expense. I think this is certainly the more responsible thing to do, assuming that we want to have the functions currently served by the Faxon Library and by the Elmwood Community Center. We want to continue to provide those services. Then the proper thing to do is to look for a place to build new, shed that property while it still can be shed, develop it. And all in all, I think it's more responsible and a better use of our taxpayer funds and fiscal managers and as fiscal managers of the town. So I will be supporting this. I'm sharing my colleague's excitement about what it can be, and frankly, looking forward to what the community interaction comes up with, because I'm absolutely convinced that us sitting here right now don't even have a full vision of what it's going to look like once our residents start putting their brain power into and great ideas into doing this a project that'll make the town and Elmwood particularly proud. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Winograd. Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will be brief. First, I'd like to thank the staff that worked on this proposal and also thank the Archdiocese for engaging us in negotiations. I do recall the conversation that Mr. Hart and I had when I first learned that this parcel was available, and thank you, sir, for taking necessary steps to get us to here this evening. I'd also like to commend my colleagues this evening for their very thoughtful remarks with respect to this vote this evening. Some of the votes we take on the council seem to be quite routine and ordinary, but I would characterize the vote that we're going to take this evening as something of a historic proportion, something that will be transformative, something that is strategic, something that will provide an opportunity, something, as the manager characterizes, generational. And for me, it's a spirit of renewal. And every once in a while, your community undergoes these types of aspects in life. So it's not for the generations that are here today, but for the future generations to come. And what's the most important part of this is that we are committed to providing a process where our stakeholders, everybody in the community who will be able to participate in what this property use will be, what it will look like, and how best it can serve the needs of our community. We are committed to making certain that they are engaged before we reach any finality. For all of these reasons, Madam Mayor, I will be supporting this initiative this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davidoff. Okay, so in closing, I also want to extend my really sincere thanks to the Archdiocese for engaging the municipality. They could have dismissed us and not been I think, prioritizing the fact that the municipality, they wanted the municipality to benefit from this property. I thank you, Mr. Vino Turco, for keeping an eye on this property. You've been talking about this for, I think, 10 years that I know of, as a strategic component to developing a campus, a real community campus. And thank you to Mr. Hart for arranging the team to kick the tires on this and really do a thorough, give us a thorough understanding, first you a thorough understanding, but us a thorough understanding of what this will mean and what this could mean to the community. Thank you, Mr. Palmer, for understanding our buildings and the rhythms of our all of our resources and really relaying to us the realities ahead, and I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you taking the trip back from your vacation and then going back again. It means a lot, but that's the kind of public servant you are, and I'm so grateful for you being here and answering a lot of hard questions. But we have a 100-year-old building that has not served us well for a long time. And if we look away and we say this probably isn't the right thing, there's things we don't know, there's things we aren't sure of, then we're standing still. And I always one of my quotes is, we stand still, we lose the race. We're a community that we all talk about vibrancy, diversity, innovation, collaboration. We don't get there by standing still. We get there by envisioning and understanding who we are, and figuring out ways to really capitalize and take advantage of all that we can be. We see this throughout our community of times, maybe lost opportunities in some ways, but then those times where we had the vision and that long-lasting change. I think this past year and a half, I highlighted in a way how important community engagement is, connectedness is, fulfillment and enrichment is. And I think if we had this facility coming out of this ready to go, or even going in, I think we would have been even better off. I think we handled things wonderfully, but I also saw the library stepping forward and becoming truly a communication center for our community in a way that I thought really shined and was a bit more elevated, and I think people understood the importance of having that resource. And I think a library attached to a community center truly has that exponential kind of benefit. I remember going to a new teacher lunch with Tom Moore, and one of the new teachers got up and he was talking about one of the discussions he had early on with Tom Moore was about teachers never being satisfied, not being satisfied in where you are now, and always looking to how to fulfill that next goal and that next, reach that next kid and reach that next challenge that you have. And that's what I think is before us now, is how do we continue to be better? How do we really make the impact on the lives of seniors? As we said goodbye to Gina tonight, recognizing her today and the lives that she's turned around. She's going to a town that has a new senior center, and that is one of the things. For a couple of years, she's going to sort of return to her home and go to a town with an innovative senior center, new senior center that we are going to take a look at, Mr. Hart. But I am so excited to hear what the priorities and the vision of our community in the process. But the decision now to purchase this, understanding that we are going to have some long-term investments that we're going to make, probably be making, that will benefit our community for the next 50 years. I'm so glad we did that in Elmwood 100 years ago, and built that school and then made it a community center. And now it's time for us to envision the community center of not yesterday, and the Elmwood Community Center is not even for today, but truly for tomorrow. So with that, we will go to a roll call vote. Ms. LeBreau.
Ms. Blanks?
Yes.
Ms. Cantor?
Yes.
Mr. Davidoff?
Yes.
Ms. Fay?
No.
Mr. Gold?
Yes.
Ms. Kerrigan is absent. Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Winograd? Yes. And Mr. Williams?
No.
That is 6 in favor and 2 nays. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you, Ms. LeBreau. Number 7, Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. An application of Bishops Plaza LLC to amend the West Hartford Code of Ordinances to allow an accessory automated teller machine use in the BG zoning district. Without objection, I move to refer the item to the Town Plan and Zoning Commission, the TPZ, and the Capital Region Council of Governments, CROG, and schedule for a public hearing for 5:30 p.m. on August 17, 2021.
I'm choking on my water, I'm sorry. Is there any objection? Hearing no objection, the motion is adopted. Reports from the town manager, Mr. Hart. I can get my life together.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll try to move quickly. So a couple of items for the council tonight. First, under the category of council business and upcoming meetings, we've got 2 committee meetings next week. They are back-to-back days. I wanted to point out Finance and Administration on the 20th at 6 p.m., and then Community Planning and Economic Development on the 21st at 6 p.m. We did have a Public Works and Facilities meeting on the calendar. I spoke with the chairman, Councilor Winograd, and we decided it was best to cancel for this month, and we'll meet in August. And then we would have a Human and Community Services Committee meeting on August 12th. That committee meets in the morning at 8 a.m. And then the one regular council meeting we would have in August, we would hold on August 17th. Moving on to staff reports. First, from community development, I know there's been a lot of talk and concern in town about the ceiling failure at Milkcraft on Farmington Avenue. Our officials, as council probably knows, that they have determined that the metal stud framing, which was held up only by sheetrock screws, was the cause of the ceiling failure. So this was more of an aesthetic as opposed to a structural issue. And this occurred on Monday, July 5th. The owner's contractor has filed a permit to remove all of the existing ceiling down to the original finish. An electrical contractor has also applied for a permit to make the necessary repairs. So we'll work with them. We'll work with the contractors. We'll work with the business owners to get them up and running again in a timely manner. Moving on to financial services, very pleased to announce that the Government Finance Officers Association has once again awarded the town with the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for our budget document. It's a robust set of criteria that we do need to satisfy. So I'd like to thank the team, Peter Privatera, Lisa Newton, Patty Lewis, and everyone else who participated in putting the budget book together on a job well done. Moving on to leisure services. Leisure Services is engaged in a Welcome Back West Hartford campaign this summer. A couple things I wanted to note. They are offering free drop-in sports for kids. Thanks to a grant we received Saturday mornings in particular, I wanted to highlight from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Younger children, 3 to 5 at Conard High School can participate in a variety of games. Starting at 10:15 a.m., older children, 6 to 11, can play a variety of drop-in games. So these sports programs are going to run the 10th through the 31st of July. We're also going to have middle school students, can drop in to play at the Conard High School gym from 6 to 8 p.m. every Tuesday from July 13th through August 17th. All of these events are free, thanks to that grant we received, thanks to the council's support. We do recommend registration, however, because space is limited, and folks can easily register off the town's website. Moving on to Public Works, I want to commend the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection for developing or enhancing their Recycling Wizard app. And the Recycle CT Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization which works closely with DEEP and municipal governments across the state, is taking the lead on this. Tomorrow, West Hartford has been chosen as the site where DEEP will unveil the app. So tomorrow morning at 9, Mayor Cantor and I will be joined by DEEP Commissioner Katie Dykes, our Public Works Director John Phillips, our Recycling Coordinator Catherine Bruns, and other folks. So excited to launch the app at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and we're going to do our best to promote it at our level. Moving on, a report from Economic Development. The Chamber of Commerce on June 28th held its annual meeting and spotlight award ceremony. I know that they were thrilled to be back in person again this year. They honored a large list of folks. Just a few I want to highlight. One would be Rick Liftig, who we all know well. Dr. Liftig received the Noah Webster Award. Recently retired dentist here in town. He's been president of the Elmwood Business Association. He's now a co-president for many, many years. Has also filled many leadership roles here in town. I also wanted to note under this category that our own Kristen Gorski, Economic Development Coordinator, was surprised by an award, the Chamber's Partnership Award, for her good work, working closely with them throughout the course of the pandemic. So congratulations to the Chamber and everybody who received an award, and want to thank them for their contributions to our community. And then just two more items quickly. The MDC is continuing to work in West Hartford Center. Just wanted to highlight for the council that they are responsible for the final restoration of its trenches from the water main project that they've completed in the center. They will restore those in the fall along with sidewalk restoration. They're responsible for that. And the roads that they will plan to pave this fall after they complete this work would be a section of 4 Mile Road, the section that runs from Farmington Avenue to Sedgwick, Ellsworth Road in its entirety, I believe, Pelham as well, and then a section of LaSalle from Ellsworth to Pelham. And then the last item I wanted to touch on, I also wanted to recognize Gina Marino for her 33 years of exceptional service to the town. Wish her all the best in retirement and in her new position with the town of Rocky Hill. Certainly a tremendous loss for us, very neat opportunity for her. Again, thank her for many years of service, and thank Mayor Cantor and other members of the council for recognizing her this evening. That completes my report, Mayor. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Are there questions? Mr. Sweeney? Further, Mr. Hart?
Mr. Hart, thank you for that extensive report. Just going back to your first item on the milk craft. In here, I just wanted to be clear on this because I think this the timing of this couldn't have been worse with what was going on in the country after what happened in Florida. There were a lot of people that were concerned about the structural and what I heard. I just want to be clear about this. This was something that was added by Milkcraft to the structure that was kind of outside of what they were supposed to. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Mr. Hart?
Yeah, just again, this was more of an aesthetic issue with the ceiling that was installed, did not affect the structural integrity of the building overall. So in our review, we did determine that some permits that were required in the past were not properly maintained. We are working with all the responsible parties now to make sure that everything that will be done in accordance with our code and will be done in a safe and effective manner.
And then just one follow-up, and the folks that were hurt in this, we've gotten an update on that as well?
I checked on that today. I checked with our fire chief, Chief Priest. Initially, when the accident occurred, there were no reported injuries. Then I understand an employee or two came forward expressing concern about more minor injuries. They were checked out, and my understanding is everyone is fine now. So no significant injuries, fortunately.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Thank you, Mr. Hart. Are there other questions for Mr. Hart? Ms. Blanks?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And Mr. Hart, I'm just curious, just to sort of echo what Mr. Sweeney said, and in terms of the permits and some of those things were missed, do you or does your office have an idea if that could, what do I want to say, bode well for other businesses in town, perhaps that started around the same time as Milkcraft, in terms of when they became, up and running? Could there possibly be some things that we may need to go back and review in order to catch something before something else like that happened? And I realized that it was structural and it was just something that they really weren't permitted or received permission to do in terms of what they put up and what fell down. So I'm just curious if we know if anything like that has occurred, or are we just doing some due diligence by going back and checking?
Thank you, Ms. Blanks. Mr. Hart?
Thank you for your question, Counselor. We always run the risk, unfortunately, of unpermitted work. So we do our best to observe what's going on in town, and fortunately, because we have a number of employees involved, our economic development coordinator, Kristen Gorski, and others, we are aware of when an existing business is going to be undertaking a major renovation. So fortunately, we are able to catch many of these things. we'll review the point you raised. I think this incident, though, does highlight the importance of the work we do in the fire marshal's office, in the building official's office, in planning and zoning, engineering, et cetera. I know oftentimes people find the permit process to be somewhat frustrating and daunting, and I acknowledge that, and we're doing our best to streamline and make it customer friendly. But at the end of the day, this is about public safety. This is why these codes are in place, and this is why this work is so important.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Ms. Banks, is that? Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Any other questions, comments? Yeah. All right. First, I would like to congratulate Peter and the finance team for their work and the award. That's really awesome. And I was there when Kristen received the Chamber Award, and she was shocked, and it was really nice to see. And we're so proud of Rick for the work he's done and will continue to do for Elmwood. And so we will definitely be hearing from him, I'm sure, about this project as well. I also, so the few announcements. Korean War veterans are to be honored tomorrow, actually Wednesday, July 14th. Lieutenant Governor is reaching out to all communities to honor Korean War veterans. Ours will take place tomorrow at 5 p.m. right here. Will feature the color guards from Police and Fire, American Legion, as well as the invocation by Reverend Dana Hellenbach and the national anthem by my son Ben Cantor. Ceremonies are being held around the state to recognize and give thanks to Korean War veterans. We also have the West Hartford Summer Arts Festival presenting Mamma Mia. It's a great show. 45th season. Excited to perform on stage, live, and in person. A whole new meaning. July 24th, 25th, and 29th, and 30th at 7 p.m. at Conard High School. This is, if you don't know, you've been probably in a cave, but the storytelling magic of ABBA's timeless songs. And this is enchanting tale of love, laughter, friendship, creating an unforgettable show. It's a large cast, nonstop laughs, explosive dance numbers. This is a guaranteed smash hit for any theater, and tickets are free, but reservations are required. And visit www.westhartfordsaf.com. SAF Pops Concert, that's also Summer Arts Festival, right? On July 28th. Will be held at Conard High School at 7 p.m. The orchestra and vocalists playing a variety of pops-style pieces. The event is free, but reservations are required. Camp Blueback in the Square. Join us every Tuesday, 10 a.m. to noon, for a variety of free kids' activities and entertainment. Blueback Square will host princesses and pirates, magic and balloons, camp-inspired crafts, and so much more. Events are always free to the public and include something for kids of all ages to enjoy. And welcome back, West Hartford. Leisure Services is holding free family-friendly musical events all week at Eisenhower Park and more during the week of August 2 through 6. The Showmobile will be the place where great music, magic, and fun for all ages happen. Bring your lawn chairs and blankets and get ready to enjoy the show. Check out the Leisure Services Facebook page for updates and weather postponements, unfortunately. This week, July 2nd at 6 p.m., there'll be Skylark Band. July 13th, Malik the Magic Guy. July 13th, Candy-O, Roly Poly Guacamole. July 14th, July 15th, Music Together Class. July 15th, also Jason Hoops and Crew Jazz Combo. July 16th, Mermaid Party with Ariel. July 16th, Meaningful Magic of David Reed Brown. Also on July 16th, Wally Jacobson Guitar and Banjo. And July 17th, the SAF Mamma Mia preview. So any other announcements? Okay, before we actually go to the Corporation Council report, I want to give us a really extra shout out to Deputy Corporation Counsel Verano and the Corporation Counsel's office for navigating us through the St. Bridget purchase. So thank you so much for that. All right, Corporation Council report, Mr. Dodge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have no formal report this evening. We will require an executive session to discuss pending claim against the town. I do not anticipate taking any action when we return from that executive session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dodge. Any questions for Corporation Counsel? Okay. We are now on 13, Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move adoption of the items on the consent calendar.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Then we go to, I think we are off to Mr. Davidoff, number 16.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Without objection, I move that we enter executive session pursuant to Section 1-200, parentheses 6B of the general statutes to discuss strategy and negotiations with respect to a pending claim to wit, John Doe versus West Hartford Public Schools et al.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any objection? Okay, there being no objection, we will enter into executive session. I'd like to invite the town manager, corporation counsel, and deputy corporation counsel to join us. And we are not going to be taking any, so I see Ronnie packing up to go. I just want to give a shout out for the joy and the love and the excitement that she's going to be experiencing the next few days, and congratulate Katie and Matt and wishing them a lifetime of happiness and great example with wonderful parents. So much happiness. All right, into executive session.